Holy cow, are we live? This is
Wow.
happening. This is the first time I'm seeing that intro. That is rad.
That intro kicked major ass. Awesome. Cheers to
Oh,
you, Mike Lothar, for that intro.
making that happen.
Absolutely.
Everybody, welcome to the first episode, first session. We're calling them sessions. First session of Off the Block. We
Welcome,
we are so excited. I'm Aaron McLane,
Patrick Mediate.
and together we are
Mediate.
and McLane. One of
I love
these,
that.
we're gonna
Just
get it
carry
right.
on.
One of these
Just
days, we're
carry
gonna
on.
get it right.
I think it works.
But yeah, we're doing Off the Block. So this is a new show that we're bringing to Block of Horror. This is where we, with you, develop a brand new horror title that could one day make it to the big screen. We have hope for these. Pat, where did the genesis of this come from? You know, you and I love spitballing. Let's talk about that a little bit. Where's this coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it comes from spitballing. I mean, you and I have these epic sessions, these epic
Dude.
development work sessions with each other that last hours and hours. Of course, we can't make this like our usual session, which is probably like could run up to like 4 or 5 hours. Like
Yeah.
we really delve in. But I think we got to thinking, how cool would it be to involve the community in what we have so much fun doing, which is just brainstorming ideas, developing those ideas, making those ideas into a fully fleshed out story arc. Something we do on the daily. We have so much fun. Why not bring it to you guys? You know,
Yeah, why not, right? And so, you know, 'tis the season. Happy holidays to everybody. And so one of our favorite genres, subgenres of horror is the holiday horror film. And holiday horror is so much fun. I mean, one thing I've learned is if you are a parent and you are deciding to get down and dirty with the man with the bag, Santa Claus himself, or somebody dressed as Santa Claus, make sure your kids aren't watching because that is a surefire way that they'll grow up to be serial killers. There are so many holiday horrors. It is such a great subgenre with lots and lots of entries, and we love them. And we wanted to develop one with you guys, and we're going to dive in. But before we do, one thing we got to say is there will be a 1,000 blood coin giveaway at the end. So stay tuned for the code word. So now, on to the voting entrance. Pat, do you have these in front of you, or do you want me to read them off? You let me know.
I have them in front of me as well. Why don't you take half, then I'll take half.
All right,
You do
all right,
first.
all right. We're going to start with number one. This is these. We'll read the 10 off, and then we'll get into them. Ghoul Tide. This one did really well. This one got 8 votes. So Ghoul Tide is. In the quaint town of Mistletoe Valley, festivities turn fatal when a toxic spill transforms residents into zombie-like creatures amidst a lethal snowstorm. Faced with a silent night turned chaotic, survivors converge at the Christmas tree farm, armed with candy cane shivs and ornaments to combat the undead carolers. Battling to avoid the naughty list, they employ dark humor and festive spirit to set traps, sing twisted carols, and exchange survival gear gifts in this blood-soaked holiday horror journey. Ghoultide weaves a sinister Nightmare Before Christmas where they fight to prevent Frosty the Snowman from becoming Frosty the Zombie.
I love all of these blurbs, by the way. This is one of my favorite titles. Like, I love the title Ghoul Tide. I think it's ingenious.
That alone is worth the movie. Like, that alone is worth it. But we will get into what we think would make a fun movie. We're definitely talking about this one. Okay, go ahead. Take number 2.
Okay, number 2, Sleigh Bells. Do I have to say it like that? Sleigh Bells.
I mean, you say it however you want. I'm not running the voice vibe here.
I'm gonna say it like that. Sleigh Bells.
All right.
And then, okay, so should I read the blurb? In the heart of the North Pole, a sinister chill descends upon Santa's workshop, shattering the peaceful facade of the holiday season. Elves, known for their joyous and hardworking nature, are being mysteriously targeted by a relentless killer who has assumed the disguise of Santa Claus. Good one. As the North Pole plunges into a state of panic and fear, a group of brave elves embark on a perilous journey to uncover the truth behind these gruesome attacks. With their toy-making skills and resourcefulness, they become unlikely heroes, determined to unveil the identity of the murderous imposter and restore the spirit of Christmas to their once harmonious home. As the mystery unravels, dark secrets hidden beneath the snowy landscape come to light. The killer Santa's motives are far more twisted than anyone could have ever imagined, and the elves must race against time to stop the bloodshed before Christmas is forever tainted by this horrifying legend. In this chilling tale of horror and terror and resilience, the North Pole becomes the battleground for an epic struggle between good and evil, where the fate of Christmas itself hangs in the balance. It was a good one. I love that. I love that.
I love that one. This one in my mind, the best thing about this one is that it's we don't have enough movies that take place literally in the North Pole. Like very few films. Like and when you watch the beginning of Scrooge, the night the reindeer died, I'm like, hell yeah, I need more of that. I need more of that. Shout out to Scrooge, by the way. Okay, number 3, Bloody Blitzen. This is Cujo, but with a reindeer. In the frozen North Pole, Blitzen, once a trusted reindeer, transforms into a merciless predator, turning Santa's workshop into a fortress of fear. Santa's companions must unite to defend against Blitzen's attack and uncover the dark magic behind his gruesome transformation. The festive melodies are replaced by eerie howls as the North Pole faces a dire threat, putting the essence of Christmas at stake in this chilling creature feature. I mean, come on, that sounds like a lot of fun to me, right?
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Someone in the chat, by the way, I'm just watching the chat. They're like, who came up with these? Who thought of these 10 options? I mean, Karen, obviously. I mean, who do you think? I mean, we're leading the show, so we figured we'd at least come up with the options. I mean, you know, we
Pat
can't
and
do that, which is why we need your help to figure out, hey, after this, where are we going next? Which are the best? And I know we did the upvoting and all that stuff, but yes, it was yours truly who came up with these.
Yes, Pat and I loved. We had okay. We'll tell the genesis in a second. Let's get through these, and we'll talk about how the 30,000 miles away brainstorm session that this was.
We also narrowed this down from like 50, so like these were our top 10, and then it's your job to narrow it down even more. But we'll get to that in a second.
El Inca says gifts. I mean brains.
Okay, number 4, right? We're on number 4.
Number 4, Old Silk Hat. Yeah, that's yours.
Numero 4, Old Silk Hat. This is definitely one of my faves. Aaron, I think you should read this one too, because like this was truly like Aaron's baby as well. So
yeah,
Aaron,
thank you, man. All right, cool. When a young man stumbles upon a seemingly ordinary top hat while cleaning out his grandfather's attic, little does he know that this unassuming accessory holds a magical secret. It has the power to bring things to life. As he experiments with the hat, he discovers its wondrous abilities, animating toys and stirring memories of his childhood visits to his grandfather's home. However, the true potential of the hat is unveiled when he learns about an incident from years before involving a snowman. Bum, bum, bum. The young man, intrigued by the hat's connection to his grandfather, embarks on a quest to unravel the mysteries surrounding his life. And as the line between the living and the animated blurs, the young man grapples with the nightmarish consequences of resurrecting the past, and the hat's magic takes a sinister turn, threatening to consume him in a macabre dance of horror and revenge. Old Silk Hat unfolds as a bone-chilling exploration of the supernatural, blending elements of horror and dark fantasy into a haunting narrative where the line between enchantment and terror is razor thin.
Love it. We got to get through these though. I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep going.
Yeah. Sorry.
Number 5. So number 5 is Hallmark movie with ghosts. That's like really what we were thinking. What if we made a Hallmark movie that was supposed to be on the Hallmark Channel, but then it just all of a sudden about 30 minutes through turned into an actual horror movie? It's entitled I'll Be Home for Christmas. Here's the summary. Sarah, returning home from the holidays, encounters Stephen, a seemingly perfect guy, sparking a romantic holiday atmosphere. However, the idyllic setting turns suspenseful and ghostly. Appearances terrify Sarah, adding a terrifying twist to the story. Will love triumph over sinister forces, or will spectral evil jeopardize Christmas forever? Love that. Love it.
That's a good one. Take number 6 too, man.
Numero 6. Oh, Eyes of the Elf. Obviously, Elf on the Shelf horror. There's no like horror holiday movie without an Elf on the Shelf. Elf on the Shelf, by the way, is terrifying to begin with. Here we go. In Eyes of the Elf, little Daryl's joyful holiday takes a chilling turn when an unsettling Christmas shelf elf infiltrates his home, defying the typical playful demeanor of its counterparts. As the sinister elf's eerie actions escalate beyond harmless pranks, Daryl becomes consumed by an overwhelming sense of being under constant surveillance, transforming his festive season into one fraught with anxiety and dread. Convinced that the elf possesses a life of its own, Daryl struggles to communicate his fears to skeptical parents, of course, raising the disturbing question of whether or not he's in imminent danger. The suspenseful tale navigates the blurred lines between holiday traditions and nightmarish realities, threatening to overshadow the once celebratory atmosphere with a lingering sense of unease. Eyes of the Elf. Love it.
I love that one. Number 7, Menorah Maniac. Hey, cultures around the world all have great horror stories, and so like we couldn't just leave it to Christmas. I mean, we wanted to be inclusive and have a few other things in here. So Menorah Maniac is our take on some Hanukkah horror, which there is absolutely not enough of. Okay, the Festival of Lights takes a sinister turn as a vengeful psycho unleashes 8 crazy nights of terror. The film thrusts audiences into the heart of the festive season, where joyous celebrations quickly devolve into a nightmare. As Hanukkah approaches, a masked maniac emerges, targeting innocent revelers during the 8 nights of the festival. The menorah, symbolizing the miraculous light that burned for 8 nights, becomes a foreshadowing of terror. The Menorah Maniac, fueled by a dark vendetta, embarks on a relentless rampage, leaving a trail of chaos and fear in their wake. This Hanukkah becomes a battleground for survival as the psycho exacts vengeance during this joyous time. Each night brings new horrors, escalating the suspense and dread as the community grapples with the true identity and motives of the Menorah Maniac. The 8 nights of Hanukkah transforms into a chilling countdown as the menorah that once symbolized hope and unity now casts long shadow over a town plunged into a holiday darkness. This Hanukkah, don't get snuffed.
That has to be on the cover art. This holiday, don't get snuffed.
That will be absolutely if we get if we get a release of this, 100%,
hands down. Okay, so number 8, the next one, also one of my favorites, psychological horror in the vein of probably like Gerald's Game, something like that. It's called The Perfect Tree. The Perfect Tree. Let me pull up the Perfect Tree synopsis to read to you all. What begins as a quest for the ideal Christmas tree transforms into a nightmarish struggle for survival. Alone in the remote woods, Stanley, driven by the desire for the perfect holiday centerpiece, faces a grim turn of events when a chainsaw accident accidentally leaves him severely injured and bleeding profusely. As he fights against time to reach safety, the surrounding forest becomes a haunting landscape, twisting into a hallucinatory fever dream. As blood stains the pristine snow, the man's hallucinations blur the line between reality and twisted fears. Shadows dance among the trees, and the howling wind seems to carry haunting whispers. Visions of his family, past, present, and future, fill his head with dread. Are the visions that assail him manifestations of his deepest fears, or a darker force at play? Stanley's fight for survival brings chilling horror home for the holidays. Love that. I love survival horror, and I just love the thought of this guy in the middle of the woods just hacked and like he's freezing to death. His family's like, go find your perfect tree. Go kill yourself. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get it. It's like, the Griswold, and then he goes out.
That's exactly where it came from. I'm watching my yearly watch of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He's like, what are we doing out here, Dad? We're here to get the perfect family Christmas tree, Russ. As like, imagine if the family was just like, screw you, and he went out and did it himself and cut his leg open with a chainsaw. Awesome. Look, we'll tell some stories in a second. Okay, I saw Mommy killing Santa Claus, possession horror. In I Saw Mommy Killing Santa Claus, Christine's joy turns to horror when an early Christmas gift, a beautiful necklace with a red ruby amulet, unleashes a dark curse upon her. I needed to use the voice again. Here we go. Possessed by an ancient evil, she transforms a festive evening into a nightmarish ordeal, attacking her husband Charles, dressed as Santa Claus, in a violent frenzy. Their home becomes a battleground as Charles fights for survival against his possessed wife, and the children, witnessing their mother's madness, are thrust into a harrowing struggle for their lives. Amid a raging winter storm, the elemental and supernatural forces converge, turning Christmas Eve into a chilling tale of unimaginable terror, where the children must navigate the perilous confines of their home and escape the clutches of their possessed mother. I mean, we've just seen Evil Dead Rise. I mean, let's like put a Santa hat on that and call it a day, right? Like,
yes, I want Christmas lights everywhere. I want blood. I want a Christmas tree. I want a possessed mother. I mean, I want toys that you can impale on people. I saw Mommy Killing Santa Claus. Best self-contained possession horror Christmas movie of all time.
It would be so good, right? The elevator pitch sells itself. All
So
right, on to the last one, man. Take it away.
Secret Santa, also one of my favorite titles. I'm well aware, I think, that there may be another horror film of some type with the Secret Santa name. This is nothing like that. This
one's
unto
got its own
itself.
thing.
Okay. The traditional white elephant party takes a deadly turn, plunging the festivities into a nightmarish scene. What starts as a lighthearted exchange of quirky gifts among coworkers quickly transforms into a deadly game as the innocuous presents reveal themselves to be instruments of death. The gathering, filled with laughter and holiday cheer, becomes a battleground of survival as each participant grapples with the realization that the whimsical gifts are anything but festive. As the group struggles to unravel the mystery behind the dreaded presents, paranoia sets in, eroding the bonds of friendship and trust. The once jovial atmosphere darkens with every unfolding horror, and the partygoers are forced to confront not only the lethal nature of the gifts, but also the unsettling reality that one among them is orchestrating the macabre game. A little April Fool's Day right there. Secret Santa turns the joyous tradition of gift giving into a chilling tale of survival. Lots of survival in these films. It's kind of a theme, holiday and survival. Betrayal and the deadly secrets concealed within seemingly harmless packages. I love that.
Oh, man.
Ah!
So those are the ones we dropped for you guys. You've been voting all week. Oh my gosh, there's been a rush, dude. I've been watching it. There's people are rushing, trying to like get those last ones in there, see if they can sway it. But here's what it came down to. I'll read the top three. It coming in third place, the third most voted for. We have Ghoultide. Come on, I'm so excited about that. Ghoultide,
Okay.
good one. All right,
number 3 for Ghoultide.
Coming in at number 2, and this is the one that man, this has been this was pushing for number 1. Old Silk Cat.
So great.
And number 1, the number 1.
Surprising, by the way, Ghoultide, Old Silk Cat in the top 3.
Yeah, those are good ones. And then drum roll, please. I said drum roll. I love the number 1 movie that you guys voted for, Secret Santa. Let's get it on.
I'm actually psyched about that because Secret Santa.
I know. I'm so excited. We're going to get into those top 3. We're going to break down those, focusing mostly on Secret Santa, but really quick. I want to just talk about, cherry pick a few things to tell some stories about. Perfect Tree, one of them. Can I tell you a story about a chainsaw thing that happened recently? And why this is in my head, why this chainsaw thing has been in my head? A bunch of trees fell down in our neighborhood, and they were stuck there for a month, just like into a house, and nobody came and got them. It was like, what the heck? They finally removed them, but there were these giant stumps. And one day, it's in the middle of the summer, this kid in like shorts is like, hey, do you have an extension cord? I'm like, who are you? And he's like, oh, they hired me to take these stumps out. I'm like, okay. Here's an extension cord. And I see this kid, and he has a tiny little electric chainsaw, and he thinks he's going to take a stump out. And I go, do you have eye goggles too? And he's like, oh, do I need those? And I was like, do you have Kevlar pants? And he's like, do I need those too? And I was like,
just go do your thing. Just try it all out. It'll all be okay.
And my dad was visiting. He's like, you should probably get a bunch of towels just on standby. I mean, just in case. And the whole time, and like, the more I kept checking in on this guy, I think he realized like, oh, this is severely dangerous and ridiculous. Yeah. Chainsaws are no joke. You can't mess around with chainsaws. And so he took the chainsaw back, bought a bunch of hay, and just buried the stumps in a pile of hay and walked away. And it was like,
unbelievable.
I hope they paid you well. That's my chainsaw story. Where do you want to start, man? You want to get into Ghoultide? That was number 3. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do a brief talk about Ghoultide before we get into Secret Santa.
Let's do Ghoultide. I'm psyched about it.
So in Ghoultide, we love this idea of like Return of the Living Dead, but with zombies in Christmas time. Like, come on.
Yeah. Almost like Return of the Living, in my mind, a little bit like Return of the Living Dead Part 2 in Christmas time. And what I love about Ghoultide is it hits home. It's like, it's your neighborhood. It's your town. It's a place everyone's familiar with, and the horror has infiltrated your your doorstep. It's right at your doorstep. It's in your backyard. You don't have to go on vacation for it. You don't have to travel somewhere else for it. This is something everyone can relate to, and it's super scary when you bring that horror home, especially horror home for the holidays. So
I love that tagline. Oh
right,
my god.
right, right.
Horror home for
Bring
the
the
holidays.
horror home for the holidays and just at your doorstep. So yeah, that's one of the things that really excited me about this. It's the undead in a small town that's very much like every small American town, and you have to find a way to survive among the undead that somehow got there. And we're talking a little bit about this, right? Like, how do we get? I think the big question is, how do the undead get there, right? Like in Return of the Living Dead Part 2, there was the truck and the toxic barrel rolled off the truck, rolled underneath the bridge, and then the gases escaped. I believe there was like an undead thing in there that the
in the
military
barrels. Yep.
had been harboring with the like reanimation juice, and then like it broke free, and then the gas leaked out, and then you saw the cemetery scene with the gas from everything leaking out into the cemetery, and then that was the scene where they became undead, and all of them crawled out, and then the neighborhood was
in the first one too. It's like they incinerate a zombie, and his smoke goes up into the atmosphere, and it causes it to rain, and the rain rains down on the graveyard, and the corpses came out. Like, why mess with a good thing? Why mess with a good thing? If you have some sort of toxic chemical like in the town, I think you need to focus more on like what this chemical waste is. You get a little bit more into that. Chemical toxic waste dumping is still happening. I met a guy this weekend. He's like, my job is to help clean up chemical waste in waters all over, like, of unregulated toxins. I'm like, is that happening a lot? And he's like, oh yeah, I spend like my entire job is cleaning up unregulated. It's like, what? That's a terrifying concept. Anyway,
I mean, Flint is still going on. Like everything over there is
still happening. So
like it's a mess.
So like to that respect, it's not a stretch. And then it gets in the sky, and then when it snows, you have toxic snow that turns you into a zombie. Can you imagine? It's like, you stand outside, stick your tongue out for a little snowflake land on your tongue, and then you're like, I'm turned into a zombie.
That's ingenious. I love the idea of like that's kind of a catalyst for these things. It maybe it's in the snow, maybe it's like it's an air kind of thing, like it's like it's not just because in Return of the Living Dead Part 2 it was on the ground level, but I love the idea of it being like particles in the snow, like in holiday tradition, right? It like lives in the snow, and then it gets into the water stream and all of that stuff. And I think that's a really good opportunity as well for like the town turning, right? So it's not just the undead that are being reanimated, but like members of the town, if they consume something like they do that, they turn themselves into something somehow, and they get sick, and they start like,
if we put it far enough up north, mutations of acid rain. Yes, exactly. El Inca's right on top of it. Mutations of acid rain. Like, what is the treat that they do in Canada where they pour the syrup in the snow and it freezes and turns into like a popsicle?
Yeah.
It's like what is the name of that? Who knows? Toxic snowflakes. Don't eat the virus yellow snow. Chaos Madness. Don't eat the
I love that. And I love it, Michael Jordan. It wasn't plankton.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
That is so funny. So it's like, there's so many ways to get people infected.
Maple syrup cones, Karen.
I think there's
maple syrup cones.
Maple syrup cones. Yes. See, so I think there's something there. One of the things that like we want to like really tie into it is holiday movies have so many tropes in them, and horror movies have so many tropes. And when you can combine those together, and the movie Krampus did a really good job of this. Is like taking all these tropes and mixing them together, and like we get our characters to this, the tree lot and the center of town, and they kind of band together there, and then go on the rampage. I think it's just so fun to think of what you can do with, candy canes and ornaments. But one of the places I need this movie to get to, that we just desperately need to get to, is while the people are running through town, they come to this house that is all booby trapped up, and the person who set the booby traps is a fucking kid who was left home alone.
So classic. So classic. I love the connections to classic horror films in that way. That's just
Yeah.
like that. It just makes my heart sing. And I want to see a faux Kevin, like, and everybody's going to get it. Obviously, every audience is going to understand that. I think
Right?
it's super smart. And it adds a degree of, you're able to do the fun Home Alone stuff for a little bit at that house, even if it's for
100%.
like 10 minutes, right?
But I also think there's a funny thing because anytime I watch Home Alone, one of my favorite things to yell at the screen is dead, roll credits. Because like multiple times in that movie, he does something where you're just like, nah, dead, roll credits. Like he's climbing on that shelf and the shelf breaks and he crashes down. I'm just like, dead, roll credits. He takes the sled down the front door. I'm screaming, dead, roll credits. Like, there's no way he survives, and I think it's hysterical. Like he sets up all these booby traps and then does something like so stupid and just kills him outright, and everybody's like,
And then he comes back. And then he comes back. I mean,
and then he comes back.
because obviously in our version, he comes back, or she, right?
Oh my god, that just opened up a whole door of like him coming back and getting ruined by his own stuff.
I know. It's great.
A pitch that I have for this that I'm not sold on, but let's throw it out there. Let's throw this out there and see what the audience thinks. One of my favorite holiday movies is called Blast of Silence, and it's about an assassin on Christmas, and it's a very interesting noir film, not a horror film. But I want a Santa assassin in this movie. I don't know if it fits, and it's one of those ones you're like, if it doesn't work, we'll get rid of it. But like, if I can somehow work a group of assassins into this movie, dressed as Santa, trying to kill each other while this is all happening. Like possibly this is part of what causes the situation, this assassination plot accidentally causes all the chemical spills going on, and that's why this is why it's happening. I don't know why, but I just love the idea of a bunch of people dressed as Santa Clauses trying to kill each other.
Well, didn't we have some sort of crazy? I think what's even funnier is a bunch of Santa Clauses trying to kill each other, like legit Santa Clauses, is if it's a town Santa Con.
Yes.
And it's not actual Santa Clauses. It's a Santa Con, and they're drunk as all fuck. And they're drunk, or you can even do like the ninja drunk Santa Con, but like it's not just Santa Con because they have to up the ante this year, right? Like they're in the back room. How do we up the ante in Santa Con?
The League of Shadow Santas.
I love that.
Okay, the chat's digging this Assassin Santa. So yeah, Santa Con is in town when this happens. So you get a bunch of funny like drunk Santas like bar crawling, but because Santa Con is in town, several of these assassins are using it as a shield to mask their activities, and it causes a huge disaster.
Very smart. I like that.
Is anybody writing this down? This is gold.
Well, someone must have pressed the record button. Mike, you pressed the record button, right? Mike definitely pressed the record button. So we can play this back, as can all of you. Luckily, because I'm not typing any of this down. But,
oh my god!
I love that idea. Santa assassins commingling with the Santa Con. I just think Santa Cons and funny are just so funny in general. And I just want to see, I think like every time I'm like in a Santa Con, like not in it participating, but like I fall into one just by accident. Like, where am I? Why is everybody just like Santa? Oh, it's Santa Con. I can't do it. So I gotta secretly want them, to be attacked by ghoul tides.
The town I live in, we've gone to 3 different events where there's a Santa Claus there. Each one has upped the ante in quality, where you're like, man, this guy is in a banger of a costume. He looks like Santa for real. He's doing a great job. Then we go to the next one. This guy's in an even better costume, and he's a good Santa. It's like, man, all these retired dudes over in Peachtree City, Georgia, have nothing better to do than dress up and spend their money on baller Santa Claus costumes. Oh my gosh. Ghoultide, that sounds amazing. I have no resolution to it, and we got to keep moving because we got to get to Secret Santa. So the next one, Old Silk Hat. This one, like you said, this one really, really stuck in my head when we were doing it. Let's tell this story first.
Yeah.
Pat and I were like, we need to come up with 10 10 titles and 10 synopsises for horror films, and we came up with 22. And you guys got the best 10, but we were doing it via text message because, Pat, where were you?
I was like 50,000 feet in the air on an airplane. And before I got on the plane, you're like, we got to brainstorm these holiday horror movies tomorrow. And I'm like, great, I can't wait. And then I was like, literally, I can't wait. So I'm on the plane. What else am I going to do? And watch, like, you know, read the, you know, Up in the Air magazine in the back of the seat, like watch some thing on. So I was like, well, I got free Wi-Fi, you know, let's just brainstorm and spitball. So we're texting back and forth and literally came up with maybe at least 50 ideas for different holiday horror films.
We had 22 titles. I know we have 22 titles. We had 10 of them, and then like a ton of just other auxiliary like ideas. Like, what about this? And like in my spreadsheet where we keep all this crap is like, there's just all these like. It's super funny because it's like when you have that like drunk dream and you start writing everything down in the morning. You're like, 3 of these ideas make sense, and then there's a word over here that just says like tuna fish ? And you're like, yeah, that was brilliant. But now you're like, I don't know what it means. Oh my gosh. So okay, the next one, Old Silk Hat. So I have a 3-year-old and we are introducing her slowly to movies and fun things to watch. And at holiday time, the one we're watching is the classic, like 1960 something, Frosty the Snowman. Happy birthday. And it's like,
birthday.
Yeah, Jimmy Durante and
so great.
All these names. It's a real weird one. It's a real weird one because this magician loses his hat, and the magician sucks. And it lands on Frosty's head, and he comes alive. And I was like, "Oh, weird." But there's so much there. Because what if it didn't land on a snowman? What else can it land on? And in my head, there's a rule to this movie, Old Silk Hat. There must have been some magic in that Old Silk Hat. There's a rule to it. It needs to be something anthropomorphic. So it needs to have a human shape, head, arms, legs, right?
Yep.
Or maybe head and arms. Maybe it just needs a head. Who knows? There's a rule to it, though, that the hat needs to land on something and it comes alive. And throughout this movie, I want to have some of the most messed up things come alive. And like right next to Pat, what's the story behind with the mannequin next to you? I know what it is, but we want our audience to.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this is one of my favorite pieces. I collect props and wardrobe and stuff like that, but like this is the costume from one of the key costumes in The Ruins. If you can actually go down it, you'll see it's got like the base with all the vines and but this is the costume she wears, very recognizable if you've ever seen The Ruins. Jenna Malone's character wears that, but it's got the moss on it, real funky. It's like overgrowth, like sandals are all crazy. But yeah, one of my faves. Love The Ruins.
I got to give a shout out. Hi, Mom. She
hey,
tuned
Mom.
in. Yeah, she tuned in.
We've actually never met, me and Aaron's mom, but hi, Mom. Hi, Aaron's mom.
Yeah, see, so she tuned in. Thanks for the support. I love it. So I can't curse anymore, guys. So no, I'm just kidding. She knows what I say. She knows what I sound like. She knows who I am. So diving in here, somebody else said, okay, the guy who starred in Microwave Massacre, did one of the voices in Frosty, so he's also tied to B Horror Goodness.
That's a great connection.
That is a great connection. Microwave Massacre is
the classic.
It's cheesy but so funny. The sandwich. I mean that movie.
Also
great.
One of the rarest VHSs, original VHSs you can.
Mad rare, yeah.
The Microwave Massacre VHS is going for like at least right now maybe $400, $500 last market value. But yeah, hat landing on things. Where were we?
So if the hat landed on your mannequin, like would it just start like like I think it needs a head. I think it needs something on it that makes it have a mind. And I just love this idea of this kid going to his grandfather's house and finding the hat in the attic after his grandfather's passed and uncovering this mystery that he has to unravel while bringing all these things to life with the hat. And the thing I want to pose to the audience is, what is a mystery that we could be unraveling that the grandfather has this hat, What is it that's going on here? And then the other thing I want to keep in mind is at some point he digs up his grandfather and puts the hat on because his
Oh,
grandfather's the only one with the answers. And how gnarly that scene's going to be. Pop that hat on, and it's like,
so good. It's so good. And
oh shit.
the one thing I want to explore too is like, what does the hat look like? Right? What's the look of the hat? And I personally, when I heard Old Still Hack, like I'm thinking like it's one of those top hats, like a black top hat kind of style. And
Mhm.
I'm just envisioning a little what do you call it? Like a little green leaf. What do they call those leaves? The little like holly
Holly. Yeah, Holly.
leaf on the brim. Just like, and I feel like there's had to be some connection to the holidays that this hat beheld. Maybe he was like, the caroler, lead caroler or something, or like maybe there's some sort of tie-in to like why the hat became the hat and why it meant so much to him. So I'd love
Yeah.
to explore that. I think that's really important to the narrative is like, and this is one of those times where Aaron and I think you would agree, Aaron, where we like, actually it's important to understand some backstory first, right? Especially because the hat has such an integral part to the story. And I think that will inspire other parts of the story if we understand, why the hat first came to be,
Yeah.
what significance it held, why does it do the things it does, because that's really the hard part to unfold.
Here's another piece to that old 60s cartoon that has a real creepy nature to it. Really fucking creepy. They're like, we need to get Frosty to the North Pole. And this little girl, her name's Karen in it, and she's like, I'll help you get to the North Pole, Frosty. And they hop in this train and they're going, and she's like, I'm getting cold. And Frosty's like, oh no, humans aren't supposed to be up in the North Pole. And this little girl almost freezes to death, and the woodland animals save her. But like, your kid's in the North Pole now? Bye, Mom. I'm going to go help get Frosty to the North Pole. Sure thing. Be home before dinner.
Yeah,
Sure thing, Mom. Wait,
sure
where's
thing.
my kid? For days, this child must have been gone. Lost, prancing around the North Pole with a anthropomorphic, brought to life abomination. That's horrifying. And I think there's something to play with there. Like he's exploring the disappearance of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And like Frosty's innocent, but at the same time, that innocence can be like, pet the bunnies. Oh, pet the bunnies, George. Frankenstein, toss the kid into the pool. There's something terrifying about that. The other thing that's terrifying in that movie is there's a scene where they get locked in a greenhouse and the evil magician turns on the heat and she watches Frosty melt. And you
Right.
don't see it happen, but she got to watch his last words as he's like, oh, I love you. I'm sorry. Like she
Yeah.
watched him die.
Yeah.
Horrifying. And I think there's something there to play with, like his grandfather knew this girl, or like maybe it's his grandma. Maybe it is. She is the girl. Maybe we switch it around a little bit.
I kind of like that little twist up. I like because, and I think it's also one of those unsuspecting things, right? You just won't think the grandma's in on it in some way or has some play in the whole unraveling. But like, I like that. I like that little subtle twist.
Here's some of the stuff from the YouTube. Gramps sold his soul to be a successful magician. Love that idea. Anytime you can go down to the crossroads and get you some magic, I'm down with that. A cryptic message inside the hat. Yes, in the lining. There's always good stuff there. I love this. Trek to the North Pole, stole the hat from Mrs. Claus. Mr. or Mrs. Claus, either or. Yes, okay. Yes. All right. I love a good heist.
Yep.
Bro, what if your hat fell on a pizza and the pizza came to life? That's what I'm talking about. Like, I want him to put the hat on different things, and they start just like, all I feel is pain, and you're like, what the?
I think it would be kind of fun. I think it'd be kind of fun in like a talk to. I don't know if you've seen Talk to Me yet, or if anyone's seen Talk to Me, but like I liked the scenes the best in that film of when they use the thing in their entertainment. They realize they can become possessed with it and they use it for fun. I think it would be fun to have those moments in this where you're using the hat to actually try to reanimate things and have it land on things and to have kind of funny results as well. And then it just gets out of control.
Serpent in the Rainbow type of backstory, stolen from a witch doctor. You and I love some voodoo stuff. That is great.
Will be some Serpent in the Rainbow.
And Chaos Manus with the most fucked one here. Damn, it's a hallucinatory event from the angel of a kid. As DMT was being released, they slowly froze to death in a walk-in freezer inside the Gramps house on Christmas Eve. That's
Oh, it's so
twisted.
good. I love that.
Oh,
Chaos, I love that. That is fun.
put that hat on a bowl of pudding. That's some good pud. Oh my gosh.
Dude.
See, this is twisted stuff and I love it. So it's like there's part of me that thinks there needs to be like some sort of rule to the hat, but at the other side, it's like, yeah, I want to see it fall on some really messed up things. Like he sets it down on the dresser and the dresser just starts like opening the drawers and trying to talk to him and like just some really weird situations. But like I said, you got to get to the scene where he digs up his grandfather from the graveyard, slaps that hat on. It's like, you have to explain the
Love
secret
that.
to me. You have to tell me what it is. And like, in a scary way, but I think there's also like a rekindling moment there where like he learns to respect his grandfather because this also has a chance for some really human things because
Mhm.
it's one thing to make a horror movie at Christmas time. It's one thing to make a killer Santa Claus stabbing people. It's another thing to weave in what makes a good Christmas movie important, which is the emotions of the holiday, family, forgiveness, re-
Lessons. Life,
lessons.
like every good Christmas movie has an arc that explores reinvention, like the renewal of oneself, right? And learning some sort of a life lesson in the process because the holidays are that magical kind of time. Right.
Nostalgia, yes,
Yeah,
nostalgia.
perfect. That's a perfect perfect
Teaching rich people a lesson through terror.
That's a good one too. I mean, like anything that involves some sort of a an arc that's like a lesson or something learned. Some of the best movies have had that in it.
I mean,
Obviously.
and that's why I always, I'll fight to the death the people who want to just argue about Die Hard, but it's done. It's a Christmas movie, but like his arc is he comes in as a Scrooge and he learns to appreciate his wife by the end, and I think that's a beautiful one.
Parents
Um,
of togetherness, love of friends, and I think
yeah,
that's really also something interesting to touch on is because it's a holiday horror movie, right? You have the love of friends, you have the togetherness, but like if your friends turn into flesh eating zombies, or your family turns into like a possessed demon, right? Like all the more you have to learn that like lesson of, hey, well, I didn't appreciate my mother before she turned into the possessed demon, right? It's a crazy stretch of reality, but has anybody ever seen the movie Brave, the Disney movie Brave, where the mother turns into the bear?
oh,
Like,
yes.
right, like it's the perfect example of you don't appreciate someone while you're alive, but them turning into something or something happening to them that's horrific, right, and transformative transforms yourself in the process. So those are always really nice arcs that show the good character arcs, and I think have good payoff at the end.
She puts the hat on a plant in the greenhouse and it turns into the Little Shop of Horrors and eats the magician.
I love like evil, angry
Plants?
plants. Man,
Yes.
ballistic, like
On a poinsettia, no less. Why not? Those
I
things
love
those are poison,
gotta be
right?
better. I mean, only around the holidays.
Only around the holidays. They're poison, right?
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Oh, see, and oh man, this is one that I love. I love this concept so much because you get this early moment when he's discovering what to do with the hat, and it's like fun and funny. Like, put it on the pudding. Ha ha ha! I brought my pizza to light. Like, I think there's a huge like montage of really funny things that can come out of this that are like twisted in the same way. But then it gets really dark, but then ends on a poignant note where he
Mhm.
reconciles with his grandfather or learns to appreciate his life. And I think there's a lot there.
Yeah. So much there.
I think
Th-
there's a
This
lot
is
there.
this particular narrative has like you said, it has a lot of um room for heart, and I love I was hey call it elevated horror, but like I love horror films that also have heart, and this is my yeah. With my I'm gonna say that with my pinky up. I love elevated horror that explores that explores the artistic merits of heart. And for holiday movies, come on, man, holiday horror, you gotta have a little heart in there.
Absolutely. No, it's true though. Like that's what's going to make the characters good and that's what's going to make the movie good. And that's what's going to make it resonate with people than just if it doesn't matter what time of year your slasher takes place at? Like, does it matter that he's Santa Claus? If the answer is no, then you wasted a lot of money on fake snow. Like, if that's not central to why it's happening or why it needs to happen.
Think the hat has to be, holiday related. I really
Yes,
do. It has
100%.
it has to all have the past has to inspire the future.
Yep.
The hat has to have roots in a holiday time of year, and a holiday occurrence, all of that stuff, and it needs to tie in. There's in my mind, there's no way the hat existed with the backstory behind the hat in like the dead of summer. So
Right. All right. This is it. This is the winning concept. This is the one we're going to actually try and start breaking some pieces down for Secret Santa. Once again, this is the Killer White Elephant Gift Party. And before we get into it, I want to bring up this. So this is about killer gifts, killer toys. And this can take a lot of different angles. This approach, there's a very key point when you're developing this idea of like, what kind of toy are we talking about here? And I want to throw out a couple killer toy movies. These are ones that I really like. Dolls is one of them. This is a classic Stuart Gordon released. Super weird, super creepy, but really good. Has some great killer toy scenes, killer toy soldiers shooting people, like killing them with muskets. Pardon me. This is a really good one. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. For those of you who listen to the half-hour horror about holiday horror films, I talked about Silent Night. The Toy Maker with Mickey Rooney.
And I think Brian Usna.
Directed by Brian Usna and
Brian User was on Screamwriters Podcast. Shameless
yes.
for Screamwriters Podcast. Screamwriterspodcast.com at Screamwriters PC on Twitter. Follow us today. But we have a great episode with Brian Usna, just side tangent, and we talk a little bit about this film. So
it's real weird. It's real weird. Effects by Screaming Mad George, classic effects guy. This has, in my mind, this has the kind of toys that I think we'd be going for inside of this movie, and we can get into what that is, but they look like toys and then they spring open and kill you. Again,
like Nightmare Before Christmas, like you said, like the little toys that come out of the thing.
Yes.
The ducks and the crazy
thing. Obviously Chucky, obviously Megan, obviously there's a lot of movies where it's
toys, like Robin Williams.
Well, toys, Robin Williams is a fantastic one. I love anything. I mean, Robin Williams is fantastic, and I'm blanking on the name right now. His face is right here, deeper bluer. My head is like a shark's fin. Why am I blanking on his name? Come on, who's the rapper in this movie? Help us out here, guys.
Oh, I see his face.
Why am I blanking? He's so famous.
Oh, I mean, it's like right in front of me too, like classic '90s rap. Yeah, I'm going to the chat because someone's looking this up on IMDb right now.
I know, right?
Toys with.
Cool J. Why
Cool J.
So
boom, there it is.
Oh my God.
Oh, LL Cool J. What a great film career back in the 90s.
Thank you, everybody, for relieving my brain fart. Sorry, it stinks so bad. It was, oh my God, LL Cool J is the man, and I love him in Deep Blue Sea. I love him in Toys. Toys isn't a horror movie, but it's dystopian.
It's weird and creepy in its own right.
Yeah. And it's great, but that has some great killer toys in it. And of course, demonic toys. The Pit has some really fun killer teddy bears in it. Puppet Master, of course.
Classic.
Puppet Master has some great killer toys. The ones that it's like just straight up a doll, though, they're great and they absolutely are killer toys. But we're looking for the ones that are like a little bit more component related to be to be our comps in this, the comparable films. But yeah, these are great ones.
I think we have to think and I'm thinking of toys, the Robin Williams toys, but the fun thing about that film is they thought about all of the classic toys and all of the things that synonymous with toys, because let's be honest, they don't make toys like toys anymore. No. And they certainly don't make toys that can kill you really anymore. And so in my mind, these are truly vintage toys. So I want to think of great vintage toys, the ones with the you pull the back and it quack 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 quack, it runs paddles down the floor. fun little wind up toys and things that would truly kill you. I'm thinking I remember one, it was like one of those like Bavarian like mountain boy toys that I saw once when I was a kid, and it had the axe. I was
Yeah.
like, "Pow, pow, 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 pow," and it just walks and you wound it up.
I had a Godzilla wind-up toy that you wound him up and he shot sparks. And just imagine if those just started getting worse and worse, and then just flames start shooting out of him and burning everything down around him. Like, I think there's
Jack in the
so
Box is a good one, Julia.
Jack in the Box, yeah. So I was in here looking. I've been going to toy stores, looking at toys, and being like, "What could kill me?" And
Dismember me, Elmo. Dismember me, Elmo. Hey, just on that tangent, Michelle. Anybody seen the Tickle Me Elmo without the skin on it? Because like that's what I want to attack. Like everyone in this movie is like stripped down. Like it's almost interesting to think about, what if these are the toys that like didn't make it out of the warehouse altogether? Like they're missing the skin, or the
Island of Misfit Toys, a gun that shoots jelly.
Right.
Nobody wants a James in the Box. You know, like yes.
Yeah. These are like the toys that didn't quite make the cut somehow end up in the packages, right?
Okay.
And those are like, think of Sid from Toy Story, right?
Yes.
Look like that.
The reject
toys.
Oh man. Okay. So
Me, Elmo. Great name.
Here are the key here. Oh man, the chat's blowing up. Everything's going awesome. I'm so jazzed up right now. So to the framework, let's lay a framework. Our opening scenes where we meet the office. What is this office, and why would there be like vintage toys showing up here? And in my mind, it's like, is it a toy company? That to me seems like the easy way out, but maybe the too on the nose way out.
Here's a thought that I just had when you
said
it,
man. Yeah.
So I'm thinking go a level deeper. It was a toy company. The toys are still showing up to the same address, but another company, like a one of those like WeWorky kind of like urban new age kind of companies, moved in to this warehouse. And they're like, we got trendy open floor plan, and all of our employees are all like, we're all great, and we're all gonna be like simpatico because our desks are right across from each other. We can talk to each other every day. We can talk about, and like it's all like new age kind of workspace, but it was once a toy company, and it's got the plate is right on the front of the building, like, and it's etched in there, whatever you want to call it, like Taylor Toys or whatever. And all the toys just still come there. They've come there this year, and there's something there, right? Like
here's this. So it's the toy company. The WeWork company put them out of business and kicked them to the curb.
Boom. That's it.
Somebody finds a bunch of toys in the basement, and they're like, these are hilarious. This is perfect for our Secret Santa. This is perfect for the White Elephant Party. Found a bunch of toys found in a basement.
Love that.
And then so this is something else that came up. Possessed like Five Nights at Freddy, they need closure, so they took over. That is the next question in this component. What makes the toys killer? Are they programmed to kill? Are they possessed to kill? Is it cursed? Is it magic? Is it mechanical? Is he Jigsaw? Is he a voodoo master? Obviously, we now have a motive for murder with you kicked me to the curb. You kicked me to the curb, and now I'm angry about that. So I think there's a motive, but what makes them kill? We don't have to decide right at this moment.
Right.
But as we get into it, if you have something that's magic versus if you have something mechanical, it's a much different path and a different thing that you have to sell. Us as horror fans, we're like, magic, killer, toys, cursed, yum, 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 yum. We eat that crap up. It's a harder thing to explain, though. And a lot of times all you have to be is like, I found this voodoo book. And you're like, they're cursed. I'm done. It's fine.
See, I think the easiest way in, and there could be a lot of ways into this, but like the easiest way in would be if they arrived by the person who's kind of like bitter, right? Because probably the reason why the warehouse no longer makes these toys is because these toys are not in vogue anymore, right? Like they've gone out of style. So the person is probably bitter that, they don't appreciate these toys. Like they don't appreciate the way they used to be. So I'm going to like shove them down their throat. So it's almost the easiest way in would be they're already come pre-possessed, like pre-sprinkled the voodoo dust on them by this person, which is later revealed that the toy maker, right, that was the old warehouse tinkerer, reanimated them in some way to, you know, do the thing. And I think the way in that even deeper is that you probably need to have them have been, when he was in business, animated like the right way, like they were the good way, but he decided to like reverse it to make them cursed, and now they're just attacking the people that work there.
I love KG, Revenge of the Garbage Pail Kids. I know KG's watching football while we're doing this, so I appreciate him chiming in. Revenge of the Garbage Pail Kids. That movie is a hot mess, but I love it for, well, I can't say I love it. I love its idea, but I can't sit and watch it unless I got 10 people cracking the book up with me at it.
Chaos said the batteries were put in. That's so classic and so campy. The batteries were put in wrong, and there's like, just when they swap them, they're actually like nice and
I kind of like the idea that he engineered these things to be bad. Let's see if magic comes up again and if there's a way to work it in. But I like to go practical first, and then because again, magic, then you have to say, where did he learn magic? Then you have to say,
the engineering has so much more depth to it, because then you can explore the backstory of the tinkerer, because it gives it more of a realistic edge to it. Like the magic stuff, it hits, but like in a toy tinkering world, I think it ties in better to our main character, our main villain, right? I think it's a lot darker to know that you can actually do this and engineer these toys as an expert toy maker to be like truly evil, right, through their design.
I love it. So they find these presents in the basement. Like I think somebody, a character from the movie, from The Office, is either delivered these presents or they find them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's kind of out of place, and they're kind of like, oh, these will be perfect for our white elephant party, you know, and we don't have
names. They have names. Whoever's delivered them has
Okay.
studied enough about the employees that work at this company. One says like Jenny, and one says, you know, Mike, and one says, you know, Felicia. And it's like, oh my God. And everybody's like, who's the Secret Santa? And it's like, I don't know.
Yes. Secret Santa. And there, because so here's the other fun part is one of them in their midst needs to be tied to this old world, right? Like somebody there knows what's happening and is helping orchestrate this bad thing happening. It's like, oh, the janitor was the old toy maker, or like, you know, somebody there, or he's hiding. They find him hiding in there. You know, I think there's at some point he has to reveal himself. I just love that scene in Die Hard where Alan Rickman's like, "Oh, you're one of them, aren't you?" He's like pretending to be like an American. And do you smoke? Yeah. I love his American accent. It's so good. It's so funny. Alan Rickman, R.I.P. That guy, what a treasure. That guy's amazing.
Yeah, he was the man.
So these presents show up, right? Okay. Coworker low-key went postal. Heck yeah, he did.
Subscription box type who sends killer type build sets who are delivered right to the doors. Subscription box. I think that's a good good cover. Like I think they will need some sort of a cover, right? Because Chaos brings up a good point, or raises a good point, is that like if these toys are just delivered and nobody knows, we have to have some sort of like a small little, oh, you know, it's the new like subscription, you know, Ken from accounts must have ordered this for us, right? Or like Ken's out sick, but hey, we're gonna have fun anyway, right? So we need some sort of like a let's not accept the bomb packages, right? Kind of.
Yeah. There has to be a reason.
Like it's the new rage, right? It's the we don't just, you know, because think about this. I did a Secret Santa with a group company a few years ago, and it's kind of a crazy thing to like ask people to coordinate this. It's like, oh, you get this person, you don't really know them that well. What if there is that company that exists out there that has nothing to do with like the killer toys thing, but it does send subscription things to companies, and it's like,
Yes.
oh well, we'll sort
We'll sort it all out.
out for
And
you, but
and
you get the box,
and
right?
so they have signed up
Win-win.
for this Secret Santa thing, but it's
Yeah,
all a plant. It's by the
all
guy. It's by the guy, the toy maker who they
yeah,
booted. So the toy
right.
maker they booted is disgruntled. He sets up a fake company that does Secret Santa stuff. He doesn't do this nationwide. He literally just came back and was like, "Hey, you guys need a secret." And they're like, "Hey, we'll order from you." They think it's a thing. And he's like, "Send me all this information about your Secret Santas." And they just willingly just give him all this information, kind of like how. And I think this is a good parable to weave into this, how us as consumers are just like, "Oh, Apple wants to know where I am, what I'm doing, what my blood type is, my credit card, my last four digits, like, here you go, I don't care." And they just hand it out for the ease
I
of of
I
of of
love
of
that.
it's just because it's easy, you know?
I love that if like the toy maker has tons of money. I mean, he's made tons of money. It's like Mattel, but like old school 1902 Mattel, right? He's
Yes.
been in business forever, his family, and they put him out of business. So they even did the marketing and everything. It's like, we do in-depth profiles on all of your employees to
20
understand what the perfect Secret
Yeah.
Santa gift would be for, Karen in processing, right? Like,
We give
oh
everything
my
away
god! And
for
you see the
convenience.
commercial, it's like, oh my god,
It's perfect.
it's perfect. It's my favorite pink.
And he's building this tailored just to them, and they just give him all this information. We give away so much info for the sake
Oh,
of convenience.
that's funny. 23 and kill me.
23 and kill me. I love that. I
It's kind
love
of
that he
like
wrote
that.
it and then laughed at his and I'm laughing at his joke too. It's worth
That's a good one.
it's a good one. Yeah. So that's our early setup. What is the turning point about 10 pages in? Do we dive right into to the party? I don't think we need much. Or is that when the presents show up? Because the catalyst, for those of you following along with script format and how you kind of generate a script, you have your opening image, they say, and that kind of shows your characters, shows you the world that you're living in, and explains some of the plot. And about 10 minutes in, you have what is called the catalyst, 10, 12, 15, depending on what type of script. The catalyst is what makes your characters follow your plot as opposed to any other plot that could be available to them.
Right.
This is one of the things that can be as small as I got a package of toys. Now that the toys are here, your movie is set off in your direction. In the most famous one, and the one I like to use as an example, is Star Wars, because people get Star Wars. Everyone knows what happens in Star Wars. The catalyst for Luke, what gets him to go on this adventure, is he comes back to his aunt and uncle's place and they're dead. They're crispy critters crawling out of a flaming pit, charred up skeletons. That's the catalyst. That's what sends them on their way. And if they hadn't have died, he might not have followed crazy old Ben off into the desert to do Star Wars shit. He might just still be there to this day, hanging out, being boring. Only a kiss can break the curse.
I love that. So here's what I think. Leading up, this is how I'm envisioning this right now,
Yeah.
Aaron. Cold open, okay? Commercial. The commercial for the Secret Santa company that takes all of your employees and figures out the perfect gift for your employees. This is the new service, and it's an online commercial or a TV commercial or something for the service. Next shot you see is like wheeled in to the office, start the movie, and it transpires from there. I think that's like the quickest, most interesting kind of way to bring, like a la like a Megan intro where it's, hey, it's Megan. But like I think it's captivating enough for people to see that as a cold open, because it's something that I think a lot of folks haven't even thought of before. And I think it's a really cool service. And people are like, wow, that's kind of cool. I believe Secret Santa for your workplace, but taking all the guesswork out of your employees.
And this sets up the scene later. This sets up the classic scene that you've seen a million times. But for me, the one that comes to mind is in the movie The Game, David Fincher's The Game. Guys, we bought these presents from this company. They're a secret. They're a legit company. And then you go to that address and it's empty. And it's not real. You've been set up. And how many times have you seen that where somebody's like, oh, this is what's happening. They're here. I know they're here. And you show up and the place is empty. The cops show up. The place is empty. It's a ruse. It's a front. It's a fake.
Yep.
Wow, The Game. Yes.
Yeah. Good one.
The Office drunk reaching that limit. They change.
I love these comments. Like, listen, like your comments, keep the comments going because, like, even if we're not integrating into this storyline, like
they're inspiring and they're cracking
they're
me up.
inspiring too. But like, I also like to think of this, and I think the community needs to think of this way, since this is one of our first sessions here. Is like there are no bad ideas. So like, if you're putting an idea in the comment section, we could use that idea potentially in another session for another film or another scenario, or deeper into the script in another place that might come up again, and we can always
Just
research.
keep
So
them coming,
there are
'cause
no
it's
bad ideas. So just like keep spewing them out.
at the end of the day, it comes down to a coin toss of what gets in and what gets out, and it's just like it's so fun to just see the creativity, and this is what I love about a brainstorm session. It's just raw creativity firing, and you're like, "Yes, yes, yes." I mean, oh, these are all so good.
So good.
Spew, 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 vomit.
So the toys get there. So the toys get there, and it's like, and I think like also, you know, I think right before the toys get upstairs, I think they're like wheeled into the main lobby, and we kind of identify and connect that this service has been used by this company. But I think it gives us a good opportunity to quickly cut out upstairs to explore some of the office place culture and office place characters, because
And they need to be,
you're gonna have the stereotypes, right? You're gonna have the girl that gets too drunk and, you know, it's the Christmas party starting. You're gonna have the office couple that isn't supposed to be dating. You're gonna have, right, you know, Joe Schmo that everybody hates in you know, in the mailroom, right? I don't know, who the hell knows, but
the person who talks too much. They're really nice, but they just don't stop talking.
Exactly. And you have to get into those characters, I think, at the offset. When those toys get into that office and they're finally wheeled in, we need to know whoever. It doesn't have to be long, you know, we just need to have like short blurbs and experiences and actions that those characters then portray, so we understand as an audience, who is everyone, who are all the players, what are their personas, and what cogs do they play in this wheel of the office place. And then it's going to be all more gratifying when we see them have to encounter these, these toys.
And I think there's a level of like, you know, they're all a little miserable. Like, I think there's a level of misery to these characters that I think
everybody is miserable now that works in office. Come on, like, you know, after the pandemic, it's like, oh, I gotta go into the office. Come on, the fuck. You know, at least you can give me a Secret Santa.
I love this meta goggles that drill right into your brain through the ear.
That'd be a great. That makes me think that it might be interesting if the toy maker did create like vintage toys, and then he adapted the toys to relate to the millennial like generation, right? Or like the new age generation, and that would be like a great toy. It's actually interesting. Like the toys are crossovers between Saw death traps and like true toys that would oh my god, meta glasses, this was a lot more than $20 limit, you know,
right? So the speaking of glasses, one of the ones I had, we'll get to the toys in a second. So so I guess
oh my god, Slinky, that's so his mouth shut, right? That's so good. That is
bop it, but all the functions are sharp objects. If you don't get the high score, it explodes like a bomb. Yes, like exactly. Here's one that I was thinking, because like also part of a white elephant gifts is they're kind of cheesy. So like if you have those glasses with the Slinky eyeballs, and he's like ding ding ding, he's like hilarious, and everybody's like cut it out, Steve. And then all of a sudden they go and the eyeballs open up and you can see his eyes, and then they go shunk, pop his eyes out, and then it's like and they're on the Slinkies dangling from the glasses after his eyes have been popped out. Very Saw X, if you will.
That's a good one. I like that. There's so many great opportunities. Slinky glasses are great. So many great opportunities for you know, crossovers between classic fun gag gifts and, you know, and real kind of higher class gifts like the meta glasses. Right. There's some really good opportunities, because there's always those kind of gifts right in the Secret Santa. There's the people that do the gag gift, but there's also people that do the cool gift, right? Like, so I think there's fun ways to play with typical white elephant gifts and death traps.
Right at the end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2 is when the Secret Santa party happens. The white elephant gift party happens, right? That's where I think this happens. We've gotten to meet our characters.
Right.
We're about 20 minutes into the movie. We've met everybody.
We see an opening, like they're stamping the name. I love that idea too. It's like the more we can draw out like the establishing what the service is, then you see the stamps on these particular gifts, and they're all stamped names of the people in the office.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the stamp names. That's actually a really interesting transition match cut, because you see like Jenny stamped on one, and then you go to Jenny in the office. Then you see Brad stamped on one.
That's a great idea.
And you transition to Brad in the office.
That
So they're
also,
kind of like mini fun, creative ins for introductions of the characters, while like setting up their demise, because these gifts were made for them, and they speak to what turns them on, and
what their faults are. Yeah, if you talk too much, your mouth's getting fucked up.
Yep.
I love this one. An ugly Christmas sweater that gets tighter and tighter and tighter until you just explode. Hula hoop with blades for the glamour girl who made fun of the heavy girls.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point. Each toy, each gift made, it has to be made for those people's personalities. So when we've seen the personalities, it's no surprise when they open the gift and they're like, oh, this toy maker, whoever sent these toys, like really thought about what to gift these people. And that's part of the service. And you're not going to think twice about it, because that's the service. You've done the commercial up front. They take all of the legwork out of picking the perfect gifts that tailor to the personality of your employees.
So right at the beginning of Act 2, everybody's playing with these toys. We've opened them. We see them. I think we even have some scenes where people like do the forced trading. It's like, well, I'm taking this one and I'm taking that one. And like you do some of this, like, but it's all building up because we know it's about to, we know the shoe's going to drop and it's going to become bad.
Yep.
So suddenly you have this scene where like 10 people die at once. Because somebody's got the sweater on, somebody's got the goggles on, somebody's using the hula hoop, somebody's playing with the razor blade skippets, somebody's got a yo-yo, and they're like, I used to be pretty good at this, and they're doing a yo-yo trick, and the blades come out and slice their fingers off. Like 10 people die at once. So you've really...
You have to, though, now that you mentioned that, we have to have a reason they can't escape. Because once one of these things, once the rest of them realize that these things are killing you, we have to make it so they have to open the gifts. They cannot escape wherever they are until their gift is opened. And unless all the Secret Santa gifts are opened, they cannot leave the room, right?
Oh, makes it very Saw.
It's like a Saw, but you have to do it, because you can't, once, in real life, if someone's going to put on a pair of slinky goggles and their eyeballs are gouged out, the whole place is going to run out of there. So you need to have a little note. All Secret Santa gifts must be opened before the, ending the celebration or something like that. Right.
Yes.
And the whole place locks down. And I think the toy maker has built these things into that office. He's all planning this. So he's booby trapped this whole place before he's been kicked out. Like, he's had his opportunity to like tailor the space to to trap them in it.
But this is where you get escalation. This is where you get great escalation. So that is the key. And of course, to up the ante, some of them who have survived the initial massacre, like 10 people die. 10 people die in like 5 minutes flat. Just eyes popping out. Hula hoops.
Let me out of here. People are banging on the doors. All the steel doors come down. What the fuck? Yeah, we get out. Read the note. Read the note. All parties must, in celebration of Christmas, in holiday spirit, all gifts must be opened before the Secret Santa celebration comes to a close.
So then the can with fake snakes, but there's real poison in the fake snakes.
Love that. I love the Chinese finger trap. I love the Chinese finger trap where it only releases when 2 people die. Like they're both stuck in it. Like,
so there's a whole bunch of people dead immediately. Now you have the guy who didn't go to the party because he doesn't like that shit. You have the couple that went off to go make out. There's a handful of people who did not get involved in this. And then there's maybe a handful of people still in the room who didn't open their gifts. They've just witnessed this. So they're trapped in the room and they can't get out. But here's where the escalation comes in hand. You get the Tickle Me Elmo. You get the one that you get the toy soldiers.
Tickle Me Elmo?
I said Tickle Me Elmo, yeah.
Love that.
You get Tickle Me Elmo, and you get the toy soldiers. You get the toy plane that flies through and tries to kill you. You escalate it with things that can hunt you down. I'm going to have to clear this building now, and and everybody's trying to get the few remaining people inside the room out. You got to, and again, if they're being chased by the wooden snake that can actually kill you, and a toy soldier that's shooting at you, and things like that are alive. This is a great opportunity to escalate the horror, and also not have a constant stream of deaths that is like, you have to maintain that pace. That's exhausting for the audience, and also just a bear to maintain. So after we break into Act 2 with this amazing scene of death, 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 crazy gore, crazy shit happening, now we're in the cat and mouse section of the script, where the toys are chasing people, the mystery is unfolding, and the few remaining people are overcoming the obstacles of being trapped in the office. They can't escape. Who did this? Let's figure out the mystery and try and get out of here. And I think there's a big key, it being that WeWork space, is their internet suddenly stops working. Like, you have to isolate them.
Yeah.
They can't just call for help. They're putting Post-it notes on the windows being like, help me. And the people across the way are like, send pizza. And you're like, no, this isn't a game. This isn't a game. Like,
the way this works so well is that they've commandeered the original, toy maker's place. So he's had time to engineer this place, because they didn't just kick them out. He's got to move all the stuff out, and in moving everything out, he's booby trapped everything and set everything up.
That's great. So toys are coming out of the vents.
Toys are coming out.
You get to have people get into the vents, Die Hard style, and there's something in the vents, and it's like a toy spider. Just
gotta light up the lighter.
Click, click. The lighter pops up, and there's the spider thing.
Yeah. So I like the snake. Julie came up with a great idea for the snake. You open those old things where you pop out the top and it pops out. Well, instead of a fake snake with the coils, it's like a real poisonous.
It's I like, it's like a robot snake with real poison.
Exactly.
Here's the joke behind that. When my dad traveled, he would go all over the world for work when he worked for AT&T. And one time he came back and was like, I got your present, sport. He's like, can you guess what it is? And I was like, is it a fake can of peanuts? When you open it up, a snake pops out. And he was like, shit, it is. I wanted that so badly, and he just knew that that's what I wanted. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, here it is. But we loved that joke so much. You'd open the can, it's like, hey, you want some peanuts? It's like, it doesn't even look like a brand name can of peanuts, but you're like, but every adult I gave it to was like, okay, all the snakes would pop out. But like, can you imagine if that thing just like what pops out is like a robot wooden snake, like some sort of like steampunk horror that's just like
that's awesome.
Snakes on a plane style.
And I love half the fun of this script is figuring out the personalities of the characters and figuring out what their Secret Santa gift that they were engineered to have is. And I think that's there's a clever kind of thing in there that takes us to another level.
I absolutely love it. And then I like I said, we have to get to the point somewhere near the end of Act 2 or in Act 3 where they find that the toy maker, they try and find where the location of this place is, and like the address sends them, oh my God, it's here. It came from inside the house. The call's coming from inside the house. Yeah. Like, they have to have that moment.
Yeah.
And then they find the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain down in the basement, right?
It's great. It's great. And you think that the toys are being made in a separate place, but there's an underground kind of place they discover, and everything, all the stamps it's been coming from within the place the whole time. There's not a separate, they've just moved subterranean, so that's kind of fun. Oh
my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Who dropped this? Go on the Discord, guys. If you're not in the Discord, there's a lot of discussions happening in Discord. There was a whole thing about creepy clowns today that was going yesterday.
Go over to this Discord if you haven't been on there. There's a lot of fun stuff happening.
The Block of Horror Discord is popping off right now too.
Dropped clown photos in there. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm under the bed and there's this creepy like spider clown, and that exactly that's what we want to find in there. And I love this idea now that oh yeah, this is good.
So we're in Act 2, right? Like they've got
Act 2. A bunch of people are dead.
Here. Now we've got to get to this subterranean level. They have to discover that, they're living with this thing underneath, and the whole building is booby trapped, and everyone's a pawn in this whole fake, Secret Santa world.
Well, and they know now. Your characters have to figure out anybody we encounter now could be behind this.
Yep.
Anybody who didn't die in that room could be behind this. So the
Yep.
people who are still trapped in the room alive, they're like, we're not letting you out. They're like, why not? There's a killer snake in here and a tickle me Elmo. And they're like, because you might be the ones. They're like, we're not the one. We're going to die in here. So it's like, I love that you can always cut back to the 1 or 2 or 3 people trapped in the room, Poseidon Adventure style, who are trying to survive in this tiny enclosed space with dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think my gut is telling me that I think the toy maker or the toy maker's son or someone who's been affected by the family business going under after years of in the toy making business has to be the new employee or something, or like the people are kind of on the fence about. I feel like it has to be part of their group. And I think the new employee or like someone in the group, right, should be tied into it, like a descendant of the toy makers. And he or she is in there kind of manipulating and pulling the strings from in cell kind of perspective.
Chaos Man has brought up a really great point. We've really, with the help of the comments, emboldened the toys. We've given the toys lots of weapons, lots of danger. And he says, what about weapons? Can we help with weapons to even the field? Paperclip pens, whiteout bombs. Now we're talking.
I love that idea. Very toys, very Robin Williams.
Very toys. And this is smart because in a movie like this, you don't need guns. And there's no reason to have them in this movie, because if somebody pulls out a gun, like, they can just start shooting the toys. We need it to be very much like, what is the MacGyver version of this? And I love the idea of paperclip pens, a whiteout bomb. One of the ideas that I had that I was like, this is stupid, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because it is stupid, and sometimes stupid things are funny. At a white elephant party that I was at once, somebody had a Santa toy that you press on him and he would shit out jelly beans.
I've seen that too. That's funny.
And in my mind, I was like, what if that thing shot out at a velocity that was like a gun? There's your gun. Bam, shitting out jelly beans. Pow, pow, pow.
That's great. I love it. I mean, they have to fight. They have to be able to fight back in fun ways.
But sure. Too bad Megan kind of did this where she pulled the paper cutter blade off and used it as a machete, because that thing has always been a severely dangerous item in my school. I was always like, I could chop a finger off right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
And go home for like a week.
Yep.
Oh my God. Whiteout bombs. Can you make whiteout into a bomb? Do I want to know how you know how to do that?
If you have a good VPN and you want to do the search,
that's
really, I'm on every top 20 like most FBI searched people. All us writers are.
All of us. No,
we're always looking this shit up about crazy stuff, like especially horror writers.
Well, it's my search for working in The Walking Dead, my search history is like, what does a flesh-eating virus look like? And I'm always like, bleh. But it's like, that's just crap I have to research. What do brains look like when they're not in your head? Bleh.
How do you make a whiteout bomb?
There's many ways. I mean, I'm sure it is in. I'm sure it's in freaking the Anarchist Cookbook. Which
absolutely.
I'm sure that's in there today. So it's funny. One of my buddies has the Anarchist Cookbook, and every now and then he'll just like drop a fun little thing in there. And the text message is like, how you can get high off bananas. And it's like, take 15 pounds of bananas, eat the fruit, save the peels, scrape the peels, and boil them down with this, and then you can get high off the banana peels. And I was like, that's also how you get diarrhea from eating 15 pounds of bananas. So I don't know what's making you trip balls more, the fact that you're dehydrated from eating so many bananas and getting so sick, or because you made a concoction out of their peels. Whatever makes you happy, guys.
MRE pack and go. And I had to look it up, and I'm like, that's funny. Good joke. Good joke, man. So anyway, they can fight
nunchuck computer mice, 100% nunchuck computer mice, and
that's great.
that is great.
Oh, I love that. Smart.
I think a paperclip crossbow is a great idea. You get the rubber bands, and you're popping out those paper clips that got sharpened edges on.
I think there has to be like they do the initial gifts, but then there's like I think there's the toy army that comes out toward the end as the big finale.
When they start coming out of
I think it should be the elevator. Like the buttons on the elevator stop working. Maybe it's the freight, right? And then the elevator can't work, so they go to the freight. That doesn't work. All of a sudden, you see it start to move the elevator, and you're like, "What?" They're all like, "Oh, the elevator works again," and they're all like, "Come on, we're gonna get out of the elevator." And it's like, and you see the numbers: floor, basement, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gets to their floor 6. Boom, doors open. Fucking army of evil toys
everywhere. Yeah,
destroy them.
And this is when you can get like the oversized teddy bear, a giant, hobby horse, like that $3,000 toy giraffe from FAO Shorts is now tumbling down, but like they're all rotten and kind of messed up. This is where you can really have some things that you wouldn't have been there otherwise, but now you're allowed to jump the shark because you've laid the groundwork. After they've figured it out, they've solved the mystery at this point. This used to be an old toy factory. We ran them out. This is our fault. We are in the aftermath of this bullshit. That's when you can reveal anything you want. RC cars with an axe attached to it. Like this is where that toy army can just be as creative as you want to be with it.
Right. This is the Robin Williams toy, like
Cabin in the Woods style. Yes.
Cabin in the Woods. So just curiosity, who are our final boys and girls, right? Because we have to have the plant, right? The incel plant from the toy company, the descendant of the original toy maker's family, right? Who's one of them. We just don't know who it is yet. And I think there needs to be a guy and a girl, and then we have to have the final group, right? And then it's just that person. I almost want it to be like two final girls, right? One girl's the descendant, one girl's the real final girl, and then she turns on the other one because she's the family descendant. In a la like Get Out at the end, where you find out that
Okay, that's great. I mean, I think it's fun if you have when you get to the final team, like you have the Jim and Pam, and you think they're gonna make it, and then like Jim gets killed and you're like, no. Right. But here you could also have like some really good infighting from your people. Like if at one point the group of survivors, it like, again, just using Office references because they're great tropes to work with. You have Jim, Pam, and a Dwight. And Dwight turns on Jim and just enough with his shit and kills him. Right?
They're fighting again. I think that there's some of that tension against each other.
Yes, I think there's absolutely
one like one-on-one kill that has not toy related. It's just they just hate each other.
I think you have one kill like that where it's like they don't trust because you don't trust anybody at that point. You caused this. You're behind this. You did this.
Even better, even better and smarter. Is one of the toys doesn't actually kill. It's actually an instrument to kill someone else. And whoever's gifted that toy, the toy maker knew psychologically that toy, it's like, well, this didn't do anything on its own, but it's a weapon and it's used to kill someone else. And they're like, oh, so that toy had to be used by someone who you knew from the beginning was capable of killing one of the others. Right?
Oh my God! It's dropping the knife into the 12 Angry Men scenario.
Yes.
So it's like
putting the weapon in to be
he gave it to the person who he knew he knew he didn't have to kill them. They were going to kill somebody else. He knew that if you gave this person the proverbial Chekhov's gun or the loaded gun, they were going to use it later. Like that's actually super smart because
everybody's like thinking the whole time like, well, all the other toys actually are instruments of death, but it's like, what about this one? It's not, like everybody's wondering why that one is, but it actually
does the audience know? Does the audience know?
The audience doesn't know. No one knows until it's used as a weapon, and then the audience is like, "Oh, we get it. It is actually one of the toys." But the person creating this was smart enough to know that if you gift it to Bob in the mailroom, he's gonna fucking kill Cheryl because they have a bad relationship. right? So you really got to think all these characters through and how they interact. You really got to get in their heads and get in their work culture first before you start this whole screenplay. You really have to understand like the connections between everyone. By the way, I really like it was said in the comments, I think like Inca, really good line of dialogue. You're from the mailroom, Bob. You're not my boss.
You're not my boss, right? Right.
Great line. Great dialogue.
And it's like Bob from the mailroom every
Bob.
weekend goes and does like survival training with like the backup military guys. It's like oh my god, the reserve,
So good.
Army reserves. Like he works for the Army reserves, and he's like, I know what I'm talking about. I will save us. Just listen to me. And they're like, I'm higher up on you on the ladder, Bob. Shut the fuck. And it's like, oh my god.
So great. So we've come almost to, you know, a climax here with the toys coming out. How does this all resolve itself? Like where do we have a true, does anyone survive, or is the only survivor at the very end, which I'm totally cool with. I know like this isn't the Hollywood ending, but I'm totally cool with everyone dying except for the descendant, who is technically
the bad guy wins,
that we knew at the beginning. I'm cool with like a very last twist of the knife where you think there's the final girl and then boom, you think they're both going to escape together, right? They get out. They get out. They get out. And then when they get out, you think they've both been the end final girls, but one of them just goes boom, kills them, like just stabs him and twists it. And the movie's over, and the family wins.
And they walk away. They revenge of the toy maker. They walk away.
And then guess what? Because they lost the lease on the toy place, it starts all over again. You know, the next.
And you could do this at any different work. Like I've watched enough Undercover Boss to know you could do this at many, many, many different locations. And here's this is your franchise. The bad guy gets away. Your franchise keeps going on because now you've already set it up. The next time it's at a restaurant, they're like, we're doing this damn Secret Santa thing. We got a company to do it. And then the audience is like, ooh, yeah. And like, you just tailor it to different workplace situations.
Good one. Michelle, he's beheaded under the mistletoe. Like, what if the two of them
right here, Mike, our very own Mike dropped it. They get out, but one of the toys found its way into one of the final folks' pocket or backpack or purse. That's it. Like they escape and they're like, we made it.
That's
you know, the teddy bear pops out of them like aliens.
I love that. I want no one, unless it's the actual incel, to survive. I want everyone at the end of this movie dead. I think it needs to happen that way.
And the toy maker and the descendant of the toy maker wins. And the funniest thing for them, it's my first day. It's my first day. I'm just the intern. Yeah. It's my first day.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, it can't be them. It's their first day. And then of course it's them.
Yeah. Yes. So good. What a great and it's funny because we did on our first when it was Wraith right before, it was kind of a workplace sort of unfolding as well. So it's interesting how two workplace ideas came out of.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's traumatized by going to work.
I think so too. I mean, I think it's really speaking to something that I think it's really on a lot of people's minds right now. I mean, we have had the writer's strike which is technically, we're not working. Technically, we're all on strike, right? And then we have this whole thing going on now where it's the fight between bosses and coming back to work and work at home and all that. It's really on people's minds right now. And I think I'm surprised, actually shocked, there hasn't been enough workplace horror films that have come out that have been clever.
This is why I work from home. I love this another line, Chaos.
Great line.
I don't get paid to pick up pieces of my shitty coworkers. Yes. This is hazard pay.
Good line.
God.
I love that line too, Karen, is this is why I work from home.
So
and that should be too. It's like, it's my first day back from work from home. God damn it.
Do you think HR department's still alive? Because I have a complaint to make.
So many great one-liners in this. So much great dialogue.
Oh my God! So here's my work and poop story. I worked at this. I was a PA in the office, and we worked at this office that was really remote. It's studios out in Cheyenne. Cheyenne Studios, way up in Castaic, California, which is like 45 minutes to an hour north of LA. And we worked out there, and every single night we would come in the morning, and some animal had taken a dump on the back porch. And my boss was like, "Aaron, clean it up." And I got to the point where I was like, "No, I don't touch Dookie. Period. Like that's just not part of my job."
This is where I draw the
And
line.
he was super pissed off at it. "Fine, I'll do it." And it's like, "Yeah, you do that." And like I was like, "Look, I will help you by putting like cayenne pepper out there. We'll put some traps out there. We'll try to do it." So we go through the whole run of the show. And I'm always there late. And one night near the end of the run, like the last week we're there, we're wrapping out the office. The guy who runs the studio and us were having beers. And he goes, "I got to tell you something." "And what?" He goes, "You know that guy you work for, the head of the office?" I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I hate that guy. I've been taking a dump on the back porch to make him clean it up every night." And I was like, "You son of a bitch! I had to clean that up. At least, oh my God, I had to clean it up for a month." And he thought it was the funniest damn thing you ever heard. And I was like, what is wrong with you?
We
You
absolutely
gross.
have to work something like that into one of the stories in this film, because that's so funny.
The guy who poops on the clock survives. Yes, because you're in like on your phone, and then the phone goes out, and he's like, "What's going on now?"
So we understand this whole thing. The whole film is, we've gotten through Act 3. Do we have a button at the end, right? What's like the end roll? Either it's like
I
during
think the
credit
button
roll, or
it's the two final girls get away, and the button at the end is one of them dies, and then
right.
the extra button at the end is you realize the final girl is the descendant of the toy maker. That's
But
the
the
button.
extra button is like what happens during the credit roll. Like, what's the next iteration? How do we tee up the sequel? Because, like,
Oh,
face it, in our world, we want to make sure if we're going to make a movie, it has sequels.
you show another company. You show another company enlisting the services. Yeah. And then
Yep.
you see it ends with a name stamp on the box,
Yep.
and then a stamp, the end, on the box.
Great.
That's how you end it. Stamp, the end.
Secret Santa.
Secret Santa.
I love it. Dude, I'm Community comes through again with another great holiday film. I mean, this is phenomenal. I'm ready to write it. What do you think, Aaron?
I'm ready to make a poster for it.
Ooh, I think that's a good start. I think a poster would be a good start. Where are we gonna show this poster?
I think we cue Mike. I think we cue Mike. So because
Mike?
this has been the one. There it is.
We got a poster, baby.
So there we go. Because this has been the winning one. Because this has been the winning one for a hot minute, I threw this poster together before we discussed it. But there's the white elephant there. He's holding a razor blade. Secret Santa, skull with the hat. Super fun. I'm going to add some more toys to this. I think that's what we need to have kind of riddled around it is some of these toys. And I
love the tagline too. White elephant,
blood red. But if you saw this in a video store,
so good. Do we have just a poster, or do we have a box, or just a poster?
Just a poster. Box is coming in.
Like just a poster. That's
just a poster. So yeah, we'll be doing. There's a poster. I'm going to add some more toys to it off of what we discussed because that's super fun. But hey, let's give away some blood coin. What do you say, man? Okay, we are giving away a massive 1,000 blood coin giveaway to everyone who listened. If you are in the Discord, go over. You open a ticket, Block of Horror Discord, and type the code word. Pat, what's the code word?
Seasons. Beatings.
I
wish I had a flashlight. Seasons beatings.
Seasons beatings.
Today you were like, what should the code word be? And I'm like walking around Christmas shopping. I'm like, how about seasons beatings? You're like, yes.
Man, seasons beating is so good. So yeah, that is our blood coin code. So head over to the Discord, open a ticket, get involved on the Blog of Horror. Let's do some plugs. Pat, plug it away.
Plug. What are we plugging? Are we plugging my stuff?
Plug your stuff. Yeah,
I'm going to plug it again. I know I had a shameless plug in the middle of this, but head over to screenwriterspodcast.com. Catch up on all of our episodes. We're in the 50s now, but incredible episodes. Screenwriters Podcast, we focus on the art and craft of horror screenwriting. We have some of the greatest horror screenwriters on the planet as guests on the show, with awesome tidbits about craft and talking a little bit about what made the movies that they wrote great. We had Brian Usna, we have Tommy McLaughlin on the show. We had Mick Garris, incredible names in horror, William Malone. Head over there. You can follow us on Twitter at ScreenwritersPC, on Instagram as well at Screenwriters Podcast, or shoot us an email, screenwriterspodcast at gmail.com, screenwriters@gmail.com. And if you want to be on the show, if you are a writer, or you just know someone who likes to write horror, check it out. What about you?
Well, I have a podcast, the Launchpad Podcast. You can check us out every other week at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Launchpad Pod, and our website, launchpadpod.com. This last week, we just dropped an episode that went into the true meaning of Christmas songs. We had a very hilarious
It was a great episode. It's a great episode. I discovered from that show, just FYI, and I said my new 3-year-old nephew, love him to death. He just discovered, what is that? My hat is
the hat I got for Christmas.
Hat I got for Christmas is too big, very off color, but he loved it. So I thank you, Aaron.
So funny.
Awesome.
Oh man. Oh, thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. She says both podcasts are so good. We have over 275 tracks. We have been doing this for almost 5 years, and we've interviewed the likes of the writer of Jaws. We had Dolph Lundgren on the show, Brian Michael Bendis. If you're into comic books, we interview some of the biggest names in comic books. It's been Jeff Loeb. I mean, it's been incredible. Zeb Wells. We got to hang out with Zeb Wells in Creepy Garage. It was really funny. So yeah, that's the Launchpad Podcast, and like I said, every other week. But this is the Block of Horror, and 2024, we guarantee you guys, is going to be huge for Block of Horror. We are collaborating with them continually. Saturdays, you can check out the Half Hour of Horror with me, Aaron McLane. Pat is on there 90% of the time, but we've had some great times with some people there, having some great conversations. A lot of the people in the chats have been joining in. Thank you so much for tuning into that. We will keep dropping that. I think everybody's been saying, man, there are movies I've never even heard of, and now I'm checking them out. Yes, I have been to the end of the rainbow and back, found the pot of gold, looked underneath it. There's a bunch of garbage, and I kept digging, and I have seen a bunch of weird, stupid, bad, great, good, terrible, wonderful shit. But I will recommend you some weird stuff if you want it.
And wait, we got to give a plug also to our production company, Primordial.
Yes. Yeah. Primordial Pictures.
Digging under the rocks for horror movies you've never seen before. We're not only digging under rocks for horror movies you haven't seen before, but we're creating horror movies that none of us have seen before, but everybody wants to see. So I think you should kind of tune into Primordial Pictures. We're on Twitter as well, at Primordial Picks. We're dropping a little things here and there, but as we evolve and as we grow, you'll really see that come together. But we are creating something pretty special at Primordial Pictures, and we got some announcements pretty soon. So follow us on there.
And a lot of it is thanks to Block of Horror. A lot of collaboration with them. Yes, it should be called the Hour of Horror because we have never done a half hour once ever in its existence. But that's fine. It just rhymed better. It's a better sounding title. Be sure to hit subscribe button. Join the Block of Horror on the Discord community. Join upcoming contests. Share ideas. And until next time, I'm Aaron McLane.
I'm Patrick Mediate.
And we're Mediate and McLane. Thank you all, everybody. Appreciate you. Have happy holidays. Stay safe.
Happy holidays.
And travel safe. And we'll see you in the new year. But we're still doing stuff until then. But if we don't, happy new year. Happy holidays. Love y'all.
Thanks all.